Why is the script mightier than the spreadsheet? And start with, if I may, a story, absolutely true story, relates to the killing fields. In 1985, I was asked by the British Council to attend a British Cultural Week in Kiev. Killing Fields had just won a clutch of Oscars, and they felt it was appropriate to screen the movie there. It didn't take me very long to realise I'd been rather badly briefed about the Ukraine. I had no understanding at all of the tension that existed, the political tensions, religious tensions, economic and cultural tensions. After the screening, in an otherwise really terrific question-and-answer session, no one even mentioned Cambodia, the subject of the film. All the talk was of the Ukraine and its problems, and whether any such series of events could possibly happen there. I was in a hotel in Davos, and there introduced to the then new Ukrainian president, Yushchenko. I heard one of his interpreters mention that I was the producer of The Killing Fields. At which point he grabbed me and explained that shortly after my visit in 1985, the film had begun to circulate among their schools and their colleges. He didn't actually say they pirated it, but he didn't need to. But he asked me if I'd ever noticed that during the Orange Revolution, there was never any discussion at any point, despite all the tensions and problems, about the possibility of civil war breaking out. He said, because of your film, we understood all too well that civil war was a disaster, and we understood exactly what it did to a nation. We saw what had happened in Cambodia, and we were absolutely determined, me and my opponents, that this was not going to happen in the Ukraine. For the first time in my life, I'd been brought face to face with the quite incredible power of cinema. I think I'd always had a sense of it, notionally. I'd always certainly wanted the films I produced to have an impact, but nothing like that. I can't pretend that when we were making the film, any of us thought for one moment that it might have had that type of effect. But I think the story perfectly illustrates what an extraordinarily powerful and important medium the cinema can be, and what a lasting effect it can have on people's lives. And for that reason, I would maintain that the script is far, far more powerful than the spreadsheet. The script is about ideas. The script is about hope. The script is about how we might possibly lead better lives. The spreadsheet can never do that. The spreadsheet, if it's lucky, might offer the opportunity of living briefly a better life, but that's about as far as it goes. So I would appeal to you, ladies and gentlemen, my purpose for being here this evening is to encourage you to believe that those who deal in scripts deal in hope, and those who deal in spreadsheets deal in the past and in a poverty of imagination. Thank you.
I'm going to slightly interpret the motion, I think. And I'm going to argue that the contribution from the arts is not worth more than that from the city and industry. Now, my honourable opponent may feel that I'm cheating here to try and distract attention from the bête noire of the moment in the banking industry, but that's what I'm going to do. The spreadsheet is not just the preserve of banks. It is used by socially useful business as well. This surely is the nub of the argument, that the spreadsheet is an essential tool for businesses which are making money. And if businesses don't make money, you don't have an economy. And I think that that is the sort of mindset that I would attack. We need profitable businesses. I understand the point that national well-being can't be measured in money alone, but it's an essential ingredient. This is the real reason why we in the city resent the artistic world. We don't mind that they're just as venal, backstabbing and promiscuous. We don't even mind them getting stinking rich. But they're clearly having much more fun and are better looking to boot. So I hope that I can rely on this base motive, if nothing else, to persuade you to vote against the motion. Thank you.
I'm actually delighted that Neil raised the issue of industry. I am a member of, as far as I'm concerned, spent my life in an industry, creative industry. A couple of facts about the creative industry, well, three important facts, I think. Employs significantly more people than the City of London, significantly more, probably double the number. It is growing it's now almost 8% of national GDP, and it's growing at twice, not half, twice the speed of any other sector in the UK. Most important of all, those of you in the audience who have brothers, sisters or children will know these are the jobs your kids want. These are the jobs they want. These are the jobs they can be good at.
Lord Puttnam said that it employs more people in the City of London, but of course business, as I have chosen to define it, is much greater than just the City of London. If you look at the contribution to the economic welfare of the country, the contribution of business outside the arts is much greater. You can argue, as Lord Puttnam did very eloquently, about the uplifting effect of art and arts, which is undeniably there. But some of it is terrible. Some of it really is rubbish, and I'm paying for it, and I'd rather not. Better use of spreadsheet would have saved the UK taxpayer from financing a large number of dud films in the UK. Not, of course, any that Lord Puttnam has been involved in.
Far from Neil's argument that the output is dire or damaging. 2009, An Education, dire. 2008, Slumdog Millionaire, dire. I don't think so.
To Lord Puttnam's point, I did not say that every movie produced by with subsidies from the UK taxpayer is dire, but I could give you a very long list, and I'm delighted that one or two of them hit the jackpot. Let's hope that some of the jackpot comes back to the people who financed it.
But Lord Puttnam, would you like to?
I would actually, it's hard to argue in one sense what Neil's saying, because in all walks of life there are terrible examples of what goes on. Let me just read a very interesting piece from the New York Times this week. Asked by mortgage securities that Goldman Sachs sold to its clients and bet against, Lloyd Blankfein, whilst expressing regret for what he admitted was improper behaviour, added, "In our market-making function, we're a principal. We represent the other side of what people want to do." And he went on to say that when Goldman sells a security that subsequently goes up, i.e. on which the other party makes money, we wish we hadn't sold it. Now, as an example of behaviour, and you're much more expert than I am, Neil, I wouldn't hold a candle to it. I would just argue that, of course, there are examples in the arts that we can pick on that are unattractive or maybe even undesirable. I actually don't know anyone in the arts doing anything quite as disreputable as that.
I now feel like I'm in the middle of an argument, which is
at last. I thought that was the point.
I would suggest to you that a life with your mortgage, that your life without cinema, without music, without dance, without opera, that any of the things that actually make life worth living would be very, very bleak. Absolutely, would be very, very bleak indeed, and I would not recommend it to you.
Well, it's impossible to argue with that, and as an opera lover and a beneficiary of the National Lottery's funding of the Royal Opera House, I'm not really going to argue against it. But nevertheless, it's sort of instinctively, is this a good idea that the people who don't go to the opera and probably can't afford it are subsidising those who do and can? Because that is essentially where we are on that.
It's a very good question. It's a very good question. I mean, the truth is, ideally both. The most successful fundraising device we ever had was a film that we made with Robbie Williams that played everywhere in the world and brought in very, very large sums of money. So in fact, there's no slick either or answer. A well-run NGO knows that its appeal is probably most effective on television. That's where you'll generate the most money. And frankly, unless you've got the film to put on television, i.e. the script, the impact on the spreadsheet would be minimal. So one feeds the other perfectly. And probably that's where Neil and I would have ideally started and finished, which is the idea that one is somehow triumphant without the other is a nonsense.
Do you want to drive a wedge between the two of you, or are you happy with this idea?
I think all is perfect harmony.
The very last thing I want to say is Neil quite rightly earlier on said that the city sort of resented us filmmakers and artsy people because we did have a lot of fun and we did have a nice time. We also are in a position to leave something of quite extraordinary value to our children, which allows them to remember us. And I thought I'd be reunited with something I genuinely haven't seen for 20 years, but for you tonight, it's that. Neil, I wouldn't swap that for every single spreadsheet in the world. Thank you.
On a point of order, Mr. Chairman, I think that's really offside. Yeah, well, I'm sort of somewhat at a loss for words, which is odd since that's what I do. My point is that the cliche is money makes the world go round. Money is the sort of lifeblood of commerce, and that is my interpretation of why the spreadsheet is mightier than the script. And that really is the point that I would like to leave you with. Not that, vote for Goldman Sachs rather than Chariots of Fire. That's not a tough call, frankly. Even without Lord Puttnam's trump card, which I think I'm going to demand some some points to be deducted for producing this, and I think I've said enough.
I can't help thinking it's now 2 against 1. And I think Neil has very skillfully positioned himself for the sympathy vote. But
Yes,
can we have...
Don't shoot this dog vote.
can we have votes for Lord Puttnam and Oscar, which is the white flag? If you hold them really high...
Are they allowed to vote for both? Hey, listen, I'm using every tactic I can think of.
And the Black City flags, please.
Higher. The winner is, this evening, Lord Puttnam. Congratulations. And of course, our runner-up is Neil, and a worthy donation for his charity as well. Well done, Neil.